Hi, I'm Vida with Vida's Collectibles, and I'm here today to give you an instructional video on how to use non-ping, which is similar to an enamel. What happened was 25 years or more ago I started using base for raised gold for my enamel, and I always mixed it with copaiba. I had no problem whatsoever, and suddenly in the last 4 to 5 years I had a problem with, once the enamel was fired, it was chipping. So we got together as teachers and we discovered this product that's called non-ping. And I'm not sure what the ingredients is in it that keeps it adhered to the china, but it works. When I'm teaching a seminar, I could not have this problem. I had to find something that was going to work for me. And so far I've had wonderful results from the non-ping, and I'd like to show you now how I mix it and how I use it for my scrolling. I sell the non-ping on my website, and at the end of the video I'll tell you how you can buy it. With all my techniques I keep a separate container, so everything I need is inside and I'm not looking everywhere for what I need. Now, I no longer use oil of copaiba for my medium when I use my non-ping. I have gone to glycerin because it stays open and it never dries out. And this is available at Walmart or any of your larger drugstores. Okay, I will begin by mixing my white non-ping with glycerin that I have poured in this little jar. And so when I start the glycerin, I lay it to the side and then I just keep bringing in what I need. And I'm going to continue to grind this until it strings to about an inch, inch and a half. This is what I like to use for my scrolling. And when I'm doing scrolling, I do like to mix fresh. In my kit, I have a little container of used mixed up non-ping that I will go into for other odd things like adding a little highlight to the rim of a pansy or a little snow on a winter scene. But when I'm scrolling, for some reason I think it just behaves a little better when it is fresh. Another thing with using glycerin, it attracts moisture from the air, so if you're working in high humidity, it might flatten out on you a little sooner than normal. You may have to add a little more powder to it. You have to kind of just watch that, and you can tell as you work with it if it's behaving or not. I did really get it ground down quite well. Now I will do the glycerin thing here on the side because it's very easy to get too much and then you're back and forth. What I'm looking for is a scroll that will hold its shape but yet it will flow for me. Some people that scroll use a scrolling brush. I don't. I use a stylist. It works better for me. I guess I have more control over that. So I'm stringing this so it holds a string to about an inch, inch and a half. And a good way to test it on a piece is to take a small portion and lay it on. If it flattens out and spreads out, it's too thin. If it sticks up like a Hershey Kiss, it's too thick. So I kind of test it before I start. And I think this looks pretty good, so I'm going to go with it. And if it starts flattening out on me slightly, I will add just a little bit more powder. Now, when I do the scrolling, everything on this piece has been fired. And the painted scrolls have all been fired. And now it's time that I would go back with my actual scrolling. I would pick up a chunk, and I would tap, 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 and pull around on that scroll. And I come from the other way. Same thing. I'm just doing this for demonstration purposes on this piece because it has a dark background and I want that contrast. So I'm picking up, I call them like a snag, and tap, 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 and let that deposit down, and then pull that tail on through. And I love how the non-ping stays. I've had no chipping problems. It doesn't shrink. I can fire it wet. Another thing that I have done to my non-ping is I have added a portion of white, because by itself non-ping is pretty translucent, and when I use it for scrolling, I want my scrolls to be white. So you could also tint it with dry colored China paint and make your own colored enamel. I use it just for enameling purposes when I mix it to this consistency, so I don't worry about adding color to it because mine already has white China paint in it because I want those scrolls to be white. So you can see what the consistency is on that scroll. Gives you an idea what that looks like. Now it's time to finish the dots between the pearls. I call these the pearls that are hanging down. I just pick up a smaller portion of the non-ping and I try to hold the stylus upright and dot. And I make a contact with that stylus and tap it. And I usually reload about every time. Of course, the more that you pick up, the larger your dot. Sometimes I have to go back and reload. But my stylus is making contact with the surface of that porcelain, so it gives you a little bit of security knowing you've got contact with that surface. And I usually keep my scrolling saved until the end of my techniques because it's the finishing touch. It's the icing on the cake. And again, it will go all the way around, and that would be my last fire at 017. The rest of this enamel, of course, I have a little container that I have labeled non-ping with glycerin, and that's what I would save and put it back in the container for using it next time. And now if I thought this was getting a little thin, which it feels like maybe it could be, I could always put in just a little more powder and tighten that mixture up just a little bit. And what I like about using the glycerin is it never hardens. It's always usable. When I worked with the base and regular oil of copaiba, it got set up and hard, and you could never go back and use it. But you see, this has been in here for several days, and it's still very much usable. I would take it out and regrind it on my palette, of course, before I would use it for scrolling, but it's still very usable. I'll show you a few other pieces that I've done with the scrolling. Here again is another example of the lilacs on the box with the scrolling. And you can see the dots on the cross hatching on the cartouche. And here are the pearls that are down the side, and I try to make them as uniform as I can, and each one the same, about the same size. Again, this is a box that has no enameling on the top except for the little pansy turnbacks. But it does have the pearls hanging down on the sides with the white non-ping. It just adds so much. I call it the icing on the cake. This rose box has 3 cartouches, large, medium, and small. Along with the roses, large, medium, and small settings of the roses, and of course the pearl drops all around the outside. And you'll notice I did put my scrolling on top of the fired green scrolls, and then of course the white non-ping is the very last fire. And here is another little piece with just a little bit of pearls draping down, and just enough to add a little accent to the piece. I sell the white non-ping on my website, vitascollectibles.com. If you're interested in ordering it, I do have a product page. Check it out. Thanks for watching my video, and watch for more.